So the context is introduced with visuals that are very attractive, keywords, and a song. We then look in detail at the grammar and vocabulary of the unit, and there's a third page that focuses exclusively on the grammar. After that, we have a double page about CLIL. This one is looking at mathematics. So students are learning mathematics and English on these double pages. There is also a section here called Create. And there is a craft activity that we encourage students to do. The craft activity is very basic. It matches the theme, which is shapes that we find in a room. And the materials that you need are very basic, that you can find in a souk or supermarket. Nothing complicated. But we want the children to be making things so that they are exploring the language at the same time. After this section, we then move a little bit more focus on grammar and vocabulary. We know that's important for students. When they are non-native speakers, they need as much structure as they can for accessing the vocabulary and the grammar. And then we have a double page on reading skills. The skills are given at the top, and then underneath we get the short reading text, but students can listen as well.
Excuse me.
Yes?
Could you just go into the back and show us how grammar is presented?
I can. So it's done through a context. We have students will be listening to a conversation, and then they will be looking at the language that comes out of it. So, for example, they're focusing here on the verb to be and the adjective coming after it. And then there are some examples of it. Your pencils are on my desk, so again the verb to be is and are, and then we get students to talk about it, and then it links directly to the language book where they get further practice. So you'll notice we have a section in the language book that focuses on the grammar, and the digital resources allow the teacher to go from the student's book to the language book immediately. You don't have to have two books on the page. You can just click and you go straight to the page that matches. So back to the student's book. Grammar and vocabulary, CLIL, more grammar and vocabulary, a reading section, and then finally we have a phonics section called Sounds Like English. And this one is focusing on the sounds sh and ch. Have a listen.
Student book, Unit 1, Lesson 9, Activity A. Student book, Unit 1, Lesson 9, Activity A. Listen and read. Sharon Short lives in a shed. Sharon's pet is a sheep. The sheep's name is Shelley. Shh, said Sharon. Shelley is asleep.
Chuck Church lives on the beach. Chuck's pet is a chimp. The chimp's name is Chance. Chuck teaches Chance Chinese checkers.
So every unit has a focus on the sounds of English. And at the higher levels, we get intonation and rhythm. So there's a more complex look at the pronunciation of English. And the final page of each unit is a review section. So students get to review what they have studied. And then we move on to the second unit. So that's in the student's book. And the student's book and the language activity book match each other exactly. So for every page of the student's book, you get further practice in the language book or workbook.
All the units are topic-based.
All the units are topic-based, so the grammar and the vocabulary will come out of the topic. And it will be introduced through a reading or a listening context. So we're getting students really to be focusing on the topic, and then